So this is why you want to leave the European style Schuko plug, which is 2-pin plug with the earth strips down the outside. Because this is a multi-voltage machine, we can take a 16 amp plug onto 2.5mm cable, or 4mm cable if you want to make an extension lead, and a 2.5mm core cable onto a 3-pin plug, sort of British standard wall plug, or a CE form 16 amp plug, or a 110 plug. And then all you've got to do is, if you go from workshop to site, is plug your 2-pin into there like that, and that's a much neater solution rather than cutting that off and having to keep changing plugs. So that's how I leave it, and you can get that female part of RS components for about £6. And that's just some HO7 RNF. What's this, Titanex? Yep. What's the spec on it? There it is. 3-core, 2.5mm. So that's the way to do that. We'll plug this in. I'll have to plug it into a 3-pin wall plug because I haven't got a 16 amp down here. So just for convenience, you can run these machines on a standard plug in the wall, as long as you've got the right breaker. So standard 13 amp fused plug. So machine on. Peel this plastic off. Screen is replaceable if it ever gets spatter on it. It's actually a spare part. So you can see here we've got S-MIG. So this is sort of your smart MIG. You tell it what size wire you're using to 0.8, and then it gives you a plate thickness. So we can turn the wire feed speed or plate thickness up there, right up to 6mm. That's the limit of dip transfer with 0.8. Past that, you need to go into spray, and we'd look at our settings on the inside of here and go from material thickness in manual MIG mag, which is that one there. So manual MIG mag, you get wire feed speed and voltage, same as any other MIG machine. Obviously it's digital, and it's an inverter, so it's infinitely adjustable up to 12 meters a minute, and I think about 26 volts here. 26 volts. So you'll get spray with a 1mm with a 0.8 wire with that. We're in basic mode at the minute, so all this gives us is we choose what material we're welding with. So we're using steel wire, but you could have aluminium or stainless steel. FE for steel. Memories, 4 memories you can save, and information. So information gives us some setup. So parameter guide, which is the same as in there, and setup. So these are the part numbers we need to use for 0.8. So drive roll, contact tip, what gas we should be using. If we come out of that, and you remember S-MIG, it just gives us a plate thickness. So 0.8 wire, plate thickness, same thing, steel, memory, information, and all we could adjust was the plate thickness. If we go into our settings here, we're going to go up to this one here, which is obviously a picture of this screen, and turn it into advanced. That's going to give us some more settings up the left hand side when we go back to manual MIG mag or to S-MIG. So if we go back in S-MIG first, so S-MIG's good for dip transfer up to 6mm, 0.8. So we still only tell it plate thickness or wire feed speed. Better to think in wire feed speed really. We can then trim the voltage to get a more concave weld or a more convex weld. So leave it in the middle to start with. If you need more concave or want it a bit smoother at the toes, go to the right. If you want it a bit colder, maybe you're doing a root, go to the left a bit. But we'll start in the middle. We've still got the memory, still got the information, still got material type, but now we've got P for parameters. Inductance is adjustable, 2-stroke, 4-stroke, pre-flow gas, post-flow gas, burn back. So we've got SCT, which is a pulse at the end, which burn your wire off automatically. You can turn that off and actually set a time. So we'll see how we get on. It's usually pretty good. Depends on the material. A bit better on aluminium to do the burn back manually. We've got a spot timer, and unless we turn that on, it's just going to jump that. And it's going to ask if we're using a torch or a spool-on gun. So we'll leave everything the same, and then that's good for steel. That's SMIG, and then in manual MIG mag, advanced has basically done the same thing. Opened up the parameters for us to change there, like that. Flux Core. Basically, the machine gives you prompts when you go into each mode. Flux Core, check polarity. So, self-shielded flux core is going to be negative, DCEN. Gas shield, most gas shielded rutile is still positive, so you wouldn't need to do that. You could just leave it in MIG mag to run a normal cord wire. But this is primarily for running self-shielded. It's going to tell you that with stick to unplug this and plug your electrode holder in. Once you press OK, and it's safe. We've got no voltage at the electrode until we turn this knob into on. And you can see we've got an OCV of 50.5 volts. So this will run a 6011, like a new 5 rod, and it really starts a basic rod really well as well. If we go into parameters, because we've got advanced turned on, you've got electrode type, so standard, rutile, basic, general purpose is all other electrodes. If you're welding with your cellulosic electrodes, you just turn 6010, 6011 on. Hot start, so 15%. Arc force, 15%. So that would be good for a basic rod in the flat position. Come out of this, and I'll show you the TIG. So on this small machine, we don't have separate. We don't have actually a separate gas port for gas to the TIG torch. You need to use a valve TIG torch. You can use a switch or a pedal, but you need to use a valved TIG torch. It's lift TIG, so hit the button on the torch, lift the tungsten away, and the arc will be initiated. Parameters on this is basically 2-stroke, 4-stroke, slope up and slope down, and memories again. If we come out of that, got settings, so information is information about the machine, the firmware, software it's got on it, language, English, advanced or basic settings, inches or metric, and then reset the machine. User manual basically is exactly what comes on the memory stick with the machine. We don't provide a printed manual with this machine, trying to be a bit more eco-friendly. So the user manual takes you through how to use the interface, how to use the wire feeder, setting the rollers, how to set your gas, how to set up your torch, and how to put a new spool of wire on. If we come out of that, oops. There we go, hit that button. Wear parts, go into feed rolls. It's going to give us our outlet guide tubes for aluminium, steel, feed rollers, spare woodruff key if you lose that, rollers for cord and aluminium wires, and a new torch. That's all the wear parts onto that. Torch wear parts, so it's the actual torch, the swan neck, the spring, contact tips, liner. And then there's a troubleshooting and how to sort of service your machines, blow the air out, change this screen, the display on the front, and troubleshooting. So what's happening? Is it burning back? Do we need to adjust that? Too much spatter? Problematic wire feeding. So just a basic troubleshoot before you contact a service engineer. And that is a Rebel 215, basically. I'll just show you some more inside now. We've got some stuff out of it. Obviously it takes a 5 kilo spool. If you want to take 15 kilo spools, you need a Rebel 235, which I will show you in a minute. And like I said, a simple wire feed mechanism. Show you the back. just an on switch, the gas and the power lead.